The prophecy in Harry Potter is the most important basic of the story. In today's video, we'll be talking about the prophecy, why Voldemort chose Harry as his target instead of Neville, and what if Neville himself had been the chosen one, and how things could have ended in the end. The whole story begins and ends with the prophecy. Albus Dumbledore needed to hire a divination teacher. He made an interview with Sybil Trelawney at the Hawk's Head pub in Hogsmeade in 1980. Dumbledore, who was disappointed at the performance she gave during the interview, was about to leave when she went into a trance and made a prophecy. It was as follows. The one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord approaches, born to those who had tried to fight him. Born as the 7th month dies, and the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal, but he will have power the Dark Lord knows not, and either must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives. The prophecy referred to a boy who would be born at the end of July in 1980, who had the power to defeat Lord Voldemort, and the parents of the boy had defied Voldemort 3 times. Severus Snape, who at the time was working for Voldemort, was eavesdropping on Trelawney and Dumbledore. He did return to Voldemort to tell him what he had heard, but Snape left before the full prophecy was made. Only part of the prophecy was reported to Voldemort. Voldemort learned that there were 2 boys that met the requirements of the prophecy, Harry Potter and Neville Longbottom. Both the boys were born on 30 July 1980 to a parent who had directly defied Voldemort on 3 separate occasions, Lily and James, and Frank and Alice. However, Voldemort dismissed Neville and chose Harry as his target instead. But why did he choose Harry over Neville? Well, Dumbledore explained that at the end of the Order of Phoenix. But he might have chosen wrong, said Harry. He might have marked the wrong person. He chose the boy he thought most likely to be a danger to him, said Dumbledore. And notice this, Harry, he chose not the pureblood, which according to his creed is the only kind of wizard worth being or knowing, but the half-blood like himself. He saw himself in you before he had ever seen you. So he chose Harry, who was like himself, a half-blood, rather than the pure-blood, Neville. Voldemort chose Harry as he believed he was the most danger to him. J.K. Rowling confirmed in an interview that this was the main reason Voldemort went after Harry. Voldemort went to Godric's Hollow and murdered James and Lily, who died trying to protect their infant son. But he was unable to kill Harry as Voldemort's killing curse backfired on him and destroyed his body. This caused Voldemort's soul to become even more unstable. Thus he left a piece behind. Now there is a question that I've always been wondering about. What if Neville Longbottom had been the chosen one? Would Neville's parents have died like Harry's did? And would Voldemort still have fallen? Much like Harry, Neville also grew up without his parents, although in a very different sort of way. While both his mom, Alice, and dad, Frank, were still alive, they had been tortured to insanity by Death Eaters soon after Lord Voldemort's fall from power, and spent the rest of their days at St. Mungo's Hospital. But if Neville's family had been targeted, and Lord Voldemort had gone after them instead, there is a chance that the Longbottoms could have been killed straight after Lord Voldemort learned of the prophecy. After all, the Potters have been hiding by Albus Dumbledore after Snape tipped him off and begged him to try and protect the woman he loved, Lily. Snape didn't have the same connection to the Longbottoms and may well have not interfered, meaning nobody would have known the attack on them was coming, although perhaps Albus Dumbledore, after hearing the prophecy, would have put his own protective measures in place on both families, the Longbottoms and the Potters anyway. But even without a Peter Pettigrew type to betray anybody, Lord Voldemort has his ways to finding people, and there are no guarantees that Neville's parents wouldn't have tried to protect their son in a similar way that Harry's parents did. Voldemort never knew that there might be danger in attacking him, that it might be wise to wait to learn more. He didn't know that he would have power the Dark Lord knows not. So, if Lord Voldemort had chosen Neville, maybe a similar phenomenon would have happened. Let's say it did, and Lord Voldemort has met his downfall, and it was poor Neville who lost his parents, not Harry. Unlike Harry, Neville would have still grown up knowing he was a wizard, as probably his grandmother Augusta would have still taken care of him. Maybe we can assume Neville would have still been the same nervous, clumsy child if he was still brought up by his strict grandmother and he was still in Gryffindor. What is not clear is how Harry's life would have been different. What would Harry's Hogwarts experience have been like? Would he still have pursued the same interests, still joined the Gryffindor Quidditch team? And would he still have been friends with Ron and Hermione? But either way, we imagine Harry and Neville would have both still been in Gryffindor and hence would have become friends through their house. And no matter what timeline of events, Hermione would always team up with Neville. Those friendships might have found a way. Severus Snape's life might have changed during this event, especially as if good resulted in Lily Potter never dying. Lily and James would have continued to be married happily, and perhaps Snape would have simply continued to support Voldemort and never become a double spite for Dumbledore. After all, his love of Lily and the grief of losing her is very much what shaped Snape's story. Without that grief driving him on, Snape would really have changed his ways. But how would Neville have dealt with Harry's Hogwarts adventures, finding the Philosopher's Stone, discovering the mysterious Chamber of Secrets, taking part in the Trials Tournament? It's a lot. And in his younger years, Neville was definitely not the first Hogwarts student that leapt to mind when it came to saving the castle from certain danger. Neville only truly came into his own when Harry, Ron and Hermione started up Dumbledore's army in their 5th year, and it's not likely Harry would have started up Dumbledore's army if he'd been living a considerable calmer Hogwarts life, not having had to learn extra defensive spells, not having had to grow up for quicker than usual with the threat of Voldemort on his back. But it's possible Umbridge would have still been around, and some sort of alliance would have still been needed. Maybe Hermione, who we can definitely still see being friends with Neville, would have started up with him. In fact, with all of the challenges Harry faced at Hogwarts and beyond, he had his friends like Neville to help him. We can only imagine Neville would have got the same support network. And how would things have ended? When all is said and done, Lord Voldemort would have still had his Horcruxes, and Neville would have still known that neither must live while the other survives. Dumbledore would have still told Neville about Voldemort's history, and we can still imagine Dumbledore dying, although maybe through Malfoy or the Death Eaters rather than Snape. With the assumption Harry, Ron, Hermione and Neville would have still been friends, and Neville's growing confidence shaping him into a great wizard, Neville would have still fulfilled the prophecy, and if Harry ever found out that it could have been him, he would have been on hand to help Neville. Never forget the courage that Neville displayed from a young, nervous boy, trying to stop Harry sneaking around Hogwarts, to a war-bitten hero who destroyed one of Lord Voldemort's most precious Horcruxes. No matter what the prophecy truly meant, Neville would always have a huge part to play in the battle against darkness and the wizarding world.